Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. My name is Susan Marinov-Zausner. I'm the president of the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. First of all, thank you to the Navy Band Northeast for the beautiful patriotic music. And on behalf of our Board of Trustees and the entire Intrepid team, it's an honor to welcome you to our annual Memorial Day ceremony. We extend a very special greeting to those military personnel and veterans who are here with us today. We salute you for the commitment to the security of our nation, and we salute you for protecting the freedom we enjoy in this country each and every day. Welcome to all of you watching at home, whether in New York, across the country, around, particularly our veterans, and particularly our former crew members of the USS Intrepid. Thank you for making us a part of your Memorial Day. I am honored to present our special guests. I do ask that you hold your applause until they are all introduced. First Vice President of the Intrepid Former Crew Members Association, Mr. Aaron Resnick. Vice Chairman of the Intrepid Museum, Mr. Mel Immergut. Co-Chairman of the Intrepid Museum, Mr. Bruce Mosler. Commander, U.S. Fleet Forces Command, Admiral Cordle, and the 110th Mayor of the City of New York, the Honorable Eric Adams. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you please rise as the national colors are advanced by the New York City Joint Service Color Guard, and please remain standing for the performance of our national anthem by musician Second Class Holden Moyer and the invocation by Commander Keith Brooks, Command Chaplain, USS Wasp. Advance the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the peril us fight? O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let us pray. Lord, today we commemorate Memorial Day. We reflect upon the past and those who laid down their lives in war for our freedom. For the past 2 centuries, men and women of the United States Armed Forces willingly served their country and willingly died for what they believe is right, the right to be a free people in a free world. Lord, I'm reminded of what Admiral Arleigh Burke once said, America's most important role in the world, almost from the day our country was born, has been the role of moral leadership. Burke went on to say that we are to teach our young people to believe in the responsibility of one to another, their responsibility to God, to the people of the world. Teach them to believe in themselves, to believe in their worth as human beings, to believe in their place in leading the world out of the darkness of oppression. Teach them to believe that no one owes us a living, but we owe so much to others. Teach them to believe in their priceless heritage of freedom and that it must be won anew by every generation. And teach them to believe in the United States of America. The hope of the world lies here in our physical power, our moral strength, our integrity, and our will to assume the responsibility that history plainly intended us to bear. God, let us all be mindful that peace has a price we are willing to pay, and a price many have already paid. Today, O Lord, we remember those who sacrificed everything for us. We offer our prayer in faith. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Holden, for such a beautiful rendition of our national anthem, and Commander Brooks for the invocation. So in addition to our speakers this morning, I am pleased to recognize distinguished guests who have joined us today. And again, I do ask that you hold your applause until the end. Representing New York's 10th Congressional District, Congressman Daniel Goldman. Commanding General, Marine Forces Command, Lieutenant General Brian Kavanaugh. Commander of Italian Maritime Forces and 2nd Naval Division, Rear Admiral Jacinto Sciandra, Italian Navy. Commander, 1st Coast Guard District, Rear Admiral John Mauger. Commander, Navy Region, Mid-Atlantic, Rear Admiral Wes McCall. Vice Commander, 2nd Fleet, Rear Admiral David Pachel. Commander, Navy Recruiting Command, Rear Admiral Alexis Walker. Commander, New York Air National Guard 105th Airlift Wing, Brigadier General Gary Charlton. Commissioner, New York City Department of Veterans Services, Mr. James Hendon. On Memorial Day, we honor all who have made the ultimate sacrifice, protecting our nation and our freedom. And we recognize how especially fitting it is that we do so next to this legendary aircraft carrier we call Intrepid. Throughout Intrepid's history, 250 of its own sailors gave their lives aboard this ship and in the skies above. Some of these brave men who served with them are with us today. In this very special year, the 80th anniversary of the commissioning of this beautiful ship, may I ask all former crew members of Intrepid, please stand and be recognized. Thank you, gentlemen. Intrepid served in World War II, where it endured 4 kamikaze attacks and 1 torpedo strike. It went on to serve in the Cold War, 3 tours in the Vietnam War, and as a NASA recovery vessel during the space race. It was decommissioned in 1974, became a museum in 1982, and was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1986. The ship continues to serve today, now as the centerpiece of the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum, an entire complex dedicated to the intersection of history and innovation. Each year, more than 1 million visitors from around the world come through our doors to be inspired by our one-of-a-kind artifacts, the amazing innovation and technology behind those artifacts, and compelling stories of bravery, service, and sacrifice of the individuals who served on board. Our programs and exhibitions, they amplify the real experiences of those on the front lines of history and the stories behind the engineering marvels in our collection that changed the course of world history. We utilize these programs and innovations in history as a springboard to meet today's needs and tomorrow's challenges. Each year, we reach more than 55,000 school children, the majority of whom are underserved, teaching STEM education programming. We have become a leader in access. It is one of our core values and guiding principles. And looking through the lens of access and inclusion in everything we do is one of the most important initiatives and achievements of this museum. As a practical matter, what does that mean? It means that it's figuring out how to make the inaccessible accessible. It means always working to break down barriers so everyone can visit, feel welcomed, and be inspired. It means uncovering and telling inclusive stories that have seldom or never been told before. And it means delivering content to our audiences wherever they are, on site, in schools, or virtually around the world. We are very proud of the recognition we've received for these efforts and also gratified we've become a leader beyond our steel walls. We are sharing this model of access and inclusion nationwide so other historic sites can learn from the Intrepid Museum. And we say that is moving the needle. For our cherished veterans and our active duty military personnel, we deliver important and impactful programs that provide a supportive museum experience for returning service members and veterans from all conflicts, particularly those with post-traumatic stress, with the aim of building community and easing the transition back home. And we conduct similar programs for the families of our veterans and active service members. So we have several exciting new initiatives on the horizon that intersect the historic with the modern and the futuristic. We're working on opening the ship's sick bay, its hospital, to the public. And over the next several years, we will be restoring 7,000 square feet of space for visitors. And by using augmented and virtual reality, we'll be able to offer immersive experiences, whether here in person or elsewhere outside in the museum, so that visitors can not only see what life was like on board, but they can live it for themselves. And soon, places that will never be able to be open to the public, the engine room, the boiler room, will be virtually accessible for all to experience. We love to say that the ship may be stationary, but the Intrepid Museum is always moving forward. And just as this ship was a marvel of innovation in its day, we continue to innovate in order to perpetuate the stories of all who served for generations to come. I am proud to introduce a dedicated Intrepid leader. A longtime vice chairman of the museum, he was chairman of Wall Street's premier law firms for almost 20 years. He is a recipient of the Exceptional Public Service Medal, among the highest civilian awards of the Secretary of Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mel Irmagut.
Thanks, Susan. Memorial Day is our annual holiday for remembering those who have died while serving their country as a member of our armed forces. We are truly blessed today to have as our Memorial Day speaker on Intrepid, Admiral Cordle, the current commander of Fleet Forces Command, which is one of the largest components of the entire United States Navy, the most powerful and largest naval force in the history of the world. National security concerns, of course, continue to be very much in the forefront of everyone's mind. The situation in Ukraine and with Russia has heightened anxiety to very high levels. Adding the aggressive activity by China to that, along with the usual issues with North Korea and Iran, make our military as important now as it has ever been in our history. Intrepid is, besides Grant's Tomb, the only major military-type installations in New York. Memorial Day is our most solemn day, commemorating as it does those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defending our country. It is therefore inspiring to have as our speaker on this Memorial Day, next to this great ship Intrepid, a leader like Admiral Cordle. He's truly extraordinary. Admiral Cordle is a native of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He holds 2 master's degrees in physics and engineering and a PhD in organizational leadership. He's the current commander of United States Fleet Forces Command based in Norfolk, Virginia, where he mans, trains, and equips over 125 ships, 1,000 aircraft, and 103,000 active duty service members and government employees. As commander of U.S. Fleet Forces, he's responsible for the numbered fleets, providing combat-ready forces to our numbered fleets and combatant commands around the world in support of U.S. national interests. You know, to show you how important this job is, at one point it was called Commander-in-Chief of the Atlantic Fleet, but the then Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, decided that there could only be one Commander-in-Chief, so he changed the title. No longer Commander-in-Chief, I'm afraid, but pretty important. That's not even that way. Admiral Cordle is also responsible for Fleet Week, and he has been tremendously helpful over the last couple of years in that job. He's a submariner by background, and in that capacity has not only commanded individual submarines, but also all United States submarines, as well as NATO's Allied Submarine Command. He's regarded as one of the most imaginative and accomplished officers in the U.S. Navy. Admiral Cordle, we missed Fleet Week in 2020 and 2021. COVID robbed us of that. We didn't have Kearsarge or Iwo Jima or New York to inspire us. But Fleet Week started back in 2022, and now we really have it as good as ever. How appropriate it is to have thousands of sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen and women and WASP here to lead us in our day of remembrance in New York. Thank you for your extremely enthusiastic leadership role in making that happen. Our Memorial Day ceremony involves remembrance of all soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, and women who have given their lives so we may be free. We have a tradition of Memorial Day speakers from all branches of the military. Obviously, being next to Intrepid and with WASP alongside, it's particularly powerful to have one of the nation's leading naval officers as our speaker this year to lead us in our remembrance. It's with the greatest honor and respect that I present to you the Commander of the United States Fleet Forces, Admiral Darrell Cordle.
Well, good morning. What a beautiful New York City day. What an incredible crowd, and what a great day to be here between these two massive warships. You know, Mel, thank you first for that extraordinary introduction. You're far too kind, and you told the story about the change in the title of Commander-in-Chief. You know, I realized when you were saying that, what Rumsfeld didn't remember is the real Commander-in-Chief, for me at least, is my beautiful wife, Donna. I'm honored to be here and join you on board the illustrious and renowned Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. I participated in Fleet Week last year following a 2-year hiatus that Mel mentioned from COVID-19 and was truly blown away by this city and its people. I thought it just can't get any better than this, and I could not have been more wrong. From the Intrepid team to the Navy League and every single New Yorker, you've proven again how special this city is and how amazing its people are. On behalf of the 2,700 members of the Maritime Services here with me, thank you for all you have done, all you do, and what you will continue to do for our military. And for all of you here, thank you for coming to this Memorial Day ceremony. Your support to our young soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardmen, and Guardians speaks volumes about your commitment to what we like to call the center of the universe, our service members and their families. Memorial Day is a day of remembrance for those who gave their all in service to our country while wearing the cloth of the nation. It is a solemn day for reflecting on the cost of freedom and the families they kissed goodbye, walking proudly into the face of unfathomable danger to protect and defend our way of life. And so I'd like to acknowledge all of those Gold Star families across the world and any here with us today. I am humbled, as we all are, by your strength, dignity, grace, and your personal sacrifice for so many. I don't think I could say it better than the words by Winston Churchill, "Never so much owed by so many to so few." Nothing can take the place of your loved one. And as General Joshua Chamberlain once wrote, "We pray daily to be worthy of your sacrifice." Memorial Day dates back to 1868, where President James A. Garfield spoke to the 5,000 volunteers at Arlington National Cemetery, who gathered there to decorate the final resting place of over 20,000 Civil War soldiers buried there. He said, and I quote, "One supreme act, the highest virtues of men and citizens, for love of country they accepted death and thus resolved all doubts and made their immortal patriotism and their virtue." As the years passed, Americans far and wide began holding springtime tributes to the fallen, decorating their graves with flowers and reciting prayers. Today, more than 42 million service members have sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution, their service spanning the Revolutionary War for independence, the Civil War for freedom and the path to equality for all men and women, to world wars that built a prosperous international-based rules order, to finally the global war on terrorism that helped us keep us safe here at home. With each conflict in mind, whether on foreign shores, flying over enemy terrain, sailing through treacherous waters, or defending our homeland, we commemorate this day and to memorize and memorialize all of those 666,000 patriots who selflessly laid down their lives upon the altar of freedom. And so it is with great honor and privilege for me to represent all 6 branches of our armed services and its veterans on Memorial Day here at the Intrepid Museum. On behalf of all of our nation's service members and their families, my wife Donna and I want to thank each and every one of you and all of those around the world whose staunch dedication, vigorous enthusiasm, and endless support provide us the stable foundation we as American warfighters need to defend this great nation. So to Susan Marinoff-Zausner, Bruce Mosler, Mel Emergant, and the entire museum team here, congratulations on your upcoming 80th anniversary of commissioning. The work you are doing to instill integrity, innovation, and inclusivity among our nation's youth is unprecedented. Thank you for all your loyal devotion to duty, to honoring our nation's heroes and inspiring generations of Americans. Also to Mayor Adams, sir, thank you. And thank you to the patriotic people of New York City and the great state of New York. Thank you for your extraordinary hospitality during this 35th Fleet Week and for so graciously sharing your wonderful city with the men and women of the United States military, representing the sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, moms, and dads across this great country. It is because of people like you and cities like this that our Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Space Force, and Coast Guard create the most formidable integrated combat team the world has ever known. Hands down, no exceptions. Standing alongside such a powerful team, we are even more grateful to share this week with our allies and partners from the United Kingdom, Canada, and Italy. Our NATO allies honor us, and their commitment to shared international rules-based order remains a resolute and unbreakable bond. This year's Fleet Week was an overwhelming success. It was all-inspiring to see our Navy ships embarked with Marines, as well as the Coast Guard and NATO ships docked in the historic harbors. And without question, I know the nearly 3,000 maritime service warriors and our allies cherished every moment. I know your interactions with these maritime services through the nearly 200 engagements were spectacular. From ship tours to Yankee games, watching them march in a parade, to witnessing joint promotion and re-enlistment ceremonies at the 9/11 Memorial, I am confident those service members left you proud to know your country is in good hands. Our maritime services are the greatest this world has ever known because of our people, our single greatest enduring competitive advantage, the key to our unbridled overmatch over any potential adversary or strategic competitor. Since our nation's founding, our people have fought together as one in defending of America, to preserve the American dream, to safeguard the promise of a better future, and to uphold the proclamation of we the people. Those who have donned the cloth of our nation have hailed not only from North America, but from all corners of the world and from every walk of life, each with a different background and set of experiences, and together each personify what is truly best about our country, our unyielding resolve and our ability to persevere through adversity come out on top. We as Americans simply do not know how to lose. Each warfighter here are masters of their trade. Each contributes substantially to their command and military mission. Each of their families serve our communities in equally noteworthy ways. That legacy is defined by a long list of Americans whose courage, heroism, and sacrifice upheld the highest tradition of what our nation stands for and forged the unbreakable bonds of partnership, peace, and prosperity around the world in defense of American people and partners and our allies. Americans everywhere take time today to reflect upon the honorable service and heroic self-sacrifice of the nation's sons and daughters, all who have paid the ultimate price of freedom. I see the best of our nation in each and every service member, in every military spouse, and every military dependent and family member. Your support is what underwrites the excellence of our armed forces and our ability to excel. May God bless all of those who have laid down their lives in service to this great nation, and to their families who have shared so selflessly their loved ones with us all. May God bless our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, guardsmen, and guardians and veterans everywhere. And may God bless this city, this wonderful nation, and all of those who serve to protect. Thank you.
Admiral Cordle, thank you for those incredibly important words for all of us, and our gratitude to you and everyone that you represent here today and always, always. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the co-chairman of the Intrepid Museum. He is chairman of Global Brokerage for Cushman & Wakefield, and he helped to launch and serves as global chairman of Cushman & Wakefield's own veterans hiring platform, known as the C&W Military and Veterans Programs. Please welcome Mr. Bruce Mosler.
Good morning. I want to begin with a big thank you to several people who are at the heart and the soul of the Intrepid Foundation. First, my co-chair, Ken Fisher, and Foundation President Susan Marinoff-Zausner, and my great friend, Mel Immergut, Vice Chairman of the Foundation. I'd also like to welcome one of America's outstanding military leaders, the 35th Commander of the United States Fleet Forces, Admiral Cordle, who you just heard from. Sir, it's an honor to have you with us. And of course, we are also honored to recognize a great friend of the Intrepid, a great New Yorker, and the hardest working mayor in the nation, Mayor Eric Adams. Members of our American military branches, those currently serving and veterans, members of the diplomatic corps, leaders in government, business, faith, and other forms of service for this great city, ladies and gentlemen. Others have noted that 2003 marks the 80th anniversary of the commissioning of this magnificent vessel, the Intrepid. On this Memorial Day, then let us give our proudest and most profound salute to all those who have served, particularly those of whom in that service was demanded the ultimate sacrifice, as President John F. Kennedy reminded us, to assure the survival and the success of our liberty. Ladies and gentlemen, today as we honor the sacrifices of the past, we must also remember the challenges of the present. For 2 years, we have witnessed on the European continent something that we had not seen since the end of World War II, and until recently, thought we would never see again. A violation of the structure that even in the coldest days of the Cold War had kept armed conflict out of Europe and away from our shores. For nearly 8 decades, the longest general European peace since the end of what historians call the Pax Romana. And that 200-year-long Roman peace ended 1,800 years ago. To prevent this scourge from spreading, as it now threatens to do, both on the European continent and the Pacific Rim, we must remain strong and united with our NATO partners, strong and determined to win. So as we gather to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice throughout our nation's history, we must not squander the peace and freedom that the sacrifices on this ship and generations past of our servicemen and women who donned the cloth of this nation won us 8 decades ago. Here at home, we must also remember that part of our duty is to make sure that when their tours of duty end, when they step back, the 1% who serve will have jobs in civilian life waiting for them. And not, I repeat, not for charitable reasons. Rather, we should hire our vets because they will enhance the culture of your firm and set the gold standard for performance. To say thank you for your service is good, but quite frankly, not good enough. Hire our veterans, and they will show you how brilliantly they can perform and how their training, experience, teamwork, and collaboration help mentor and inspire the rest of your employees. And at a moment in time when our people need inspiration. And you know what else? They will enhance your firm's bottom line. Now, it is my honor to introduce a great New Yorker whose life shows us the meaning of selfless service. Eric Adams joined the NYPD to not only serve his community, but also to improve how the department interacts with minority communities. He rose to captain. Later, he championed the city's interests as a state senator in Albany. As president of our city's largest borough, Brooklyn, he demonstrated extraordinary leadership, especially in the face of the erupting COVID virus. Today, as our mayor, he understands that this city needs safe streets to flourish as a center of technology, finance, healthcare, media, and the arts, and as a safe home for families to live and grow up in. He pursued those goals in 20 years in the NYPD. He supports them now in Town Hall. Ladies and gentlemen, the 110th mayor of the city of New York, and a man I am honored to call my friend, Eric Adams.
Thank you, Bruce, and thank to the men and women who are here from our armed services. As I reflected on the Admiral's speech, I cannot help but to reflect on the conversation I had with the Secretary of the Navy, Del Toro, as we talked about the future of our armed services. On Memorial Day, we reflect on those we lost, but also as a reminder of what the future looks like and who represents our minor leagues? Who's coming up through the ranks? Who's next to fulfill the obligations of not only the veterans, but those who are now adorning the uniform that protect our shores? And there's a sad reminder as we look at the numbers. On my way over here, I started looking at the latest polls on patriotism, as I talked about at Gracie Mansion a few days ago. It is unfortunate when we realize that only a portion, 38% of Americans are stating that they're extremely proud of their country. But when you dig even deeper, you will see that ages 18 to 24 years, 34 years old, our true fighters and our true representatives of the strength of our country, the overwhelming number of them stated after the Ukrainian war, they reflected on our country and they indicated they would not stay to defend this country if it's attacked by foreign enemies. I want to be clear and loud as the mayor of the largest city in America that I'm part of the 38%ers that really represent to be extremely proud of this country. And we must think of patriotism, not something that is reflected on Memorial Day, but it must be built into the country and the fiber of our country. Just as I start the day, every child should start the day with that quote and that true pledge. I do still pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I know what it represents, and I know the men and women who wear the uniform are not only wearing the gesture of material, they're wearing the armor of peace, something that we all enjoy. We have a good product. That is why everyone wants to come here and no one wants to leave here, because we stand for what is great about humanitarian aspects all over this globe. This is a great country. Don't let anyone fool you or to believe that it is not. Don't allow people to take away what we represent. This is the only country on the globe where dream is attached to its name. No German dream, no French dream, no Polish dream, but damn it, there's an American dream. And that dream stands for something that I believe in. And as a police officer or as a military personnel, we're the protector of that dream. You water the tree of freedom with your blood. We sit under the shade of that tree of freedom, protected from the hot rays of socialism and communism and destruction that's playing out across the globe. We have an awesome responsibility to make sure we look at our bench and encourage our young people that the future of this nation is eventually going to lie in their hands. Just like the Intrepid was able to withstand attacks from land and sea. Its resiliency is who we are and what we represent. Not too far from here, our center of trade was attacked, as well as the Pentagon and other places. We see a symbol of our strength and courage. And we represent and think about September 11th. But I think about something else. I think about September 12th. We got up. Teachers taught, builders built, explorers explored, and we showed terrorists that we would never flee, never run. You can't beat America. America never surrenders. America is resilient, just like this ship we stand next to. That resiliency must continue from generations to generation. Our veterans did their job. Our armed forces that are now currently enrolled are doing their job. Let's reach into the crevices of our country and tell our young people they have a job waiting to come as we build out our minor leagues. And one day they will be on the stage of the major leagues of protecting our country. God bless America. Thank you.
There is a reason that that is on the back of your shirt. Powerful, important. Thank you for that. It's a privilege to have you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with a solemn tradition of this museum. We will lay 4 memorial wreaths on the Hudson River in memory of the brave men and women, heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. The wreath of flowers, it's a beautiful and a traditional way to show condolences and honor the memory of those we've lost. It's a custom that dates back to ancient Greek and Roman times. Some people also see the wreath as a symbol of eternal life or the cycle of life and death because of its circular shape. As we lay these wreaths, I do ask you to please remain in your seats. Bear with me just a moment. The first wreath honors United States military personnel lost in recent conflicts. Okay. We're pausing for just a moment. The first wreath honors United States military personnel lost in recent conflicts. Approximately 7,000 American service members lost their lives in the aftermath of 9/11 in the global war on terror. To lay this wreath, the Honorable Eric Adams, Mayor of the City of New York, Mr. Bruce Mosler, Co-Chairman of the Intrepid Museum, and Admiral Cordle, Commander of U.S. Fleet Forces Command. The second wreath honors these United States military personnel. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, in the 12 conflicts in which the U.S. has fought, more than 1 million of its service members have made the ultimate sacrifice. To lay this wreath, Commissioner James Hendon, New York City Department of Veteran Services, Mr. Mel Immergut, Intrepid Museum Trustee, Lieutenant General Brian Kavanaugh, U.S. Marine Corps Commanding General, Fleet Marine Force Atlantic. The third wreath honors crew members of the Intrepid and the Growler submarine. As noted, 250 of Intrepid sailors gave their lives aboard this ship and in the skies above. And we remember also our Intrepid and former Growler crew members who have passed in the last year. I invite to lay this wreath Mr. Aaron Resnick, an Intrepid veteran and first vice president of the Intrepid Former Crew Members Association. Mr. Bill Peters, Navy submariner and president of the Growlers Former Crew Members Association. The fourth wreath honors those lost from allied nations. Throughout its history, the United States has not been alone in defending and fighting for freedom around the globe, aided by brave men and women from other nations who have fought alongside our forces. To lay this wreath, Brigadier General Gary Charlton, Commander 105th Airlift Wing, New York Air National Guard. Representative Daniel Goldman, New York 10th Congressional District. And Rear Admiral Jacinto Sciandra, Italian Navy, Commander of Italian Maritime Forces and 2nd Naval Division. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. On the gangway behind me here is an American flag, the symbol of our nation and our freedom. We will unfurl the flag in honor of our fallen comrades throughout the world. The flag unfurling will be followed by the sounding of taps by the Navy Band Northeast and FA-18 Navy fighter aircraft from squadrons VFA-11 and VFA-81, a flyover over Intrepid in missing man formation in salute of our freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for coming to Intrepid to remember those who have fallen and for joining us for this very special, special service. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you.